I do understand the complaints about the villain being weak. I'll just say that. And honestly, I wanted to kind of double down on that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where this dynamic duo gets together and talks about the holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, and joined by, as always,
I'm KP here.
and today we are just fresh off the heels of the Marvels releasing. We got a lot of haters out there. Actually, it's pretty mixed, but I feel like I see a lot of hate on the internet. But overall, when you look at reviews, it seems like critics are pretty mixed, but audience scores seem pretty high on it so
Yeah.
far. KP, what did you think? General thoughts.
General reaction, non-spoiler. Holy cameos, Batman. The critic, honestly, like, to say the mixed reviews on the critics make sense because the plot is I mean, breakneck speed is, I feel like, understating it. I mean, I feel like the head breaks off your body on the plot. I don't know how else to describe it, but the comedy is well done in my opinion. I thought I was cracking up at a lot of parts of the movie, and I like the authenticity of the characters, especially one of our main heroines, where it seems like they were kind of like, hey, you know what? You be you, and you take the source material and act like how this character is probably supposed to act. So it's a very good popcorn movie. It's a popcorn movie for sure. I mean,
Agree.
it's something that you're gonna watch. You want to be entertained. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and say it was a great movie because it wasn't, but it's a good enough movie to keep you entertained, and that's why I think audience scores are very high on it, because you just kind of find yourself cracking up throughout the movie, even though there's like still though those mixed in serious tones, but that's every MCU movie. I mean, that's my reaction without spoilers. And without and I don't know how, like, much detail we're going to get into with spoilers, cuz obviously, we don't want to sit here and give you guys some like 3-hour breakdown of a movie cuz it's not necessary in my opinion, but what do you think? What was your
Overall,
initial?
I from the trailers, I feel like I was higher up on the trailers than most. I feel like there was a lot of haters. I was like, well, seeing this, it just looks like a fun, good time. I'm not
Oh,
expecting the
yeah.
fucking Dark Knight out of this shit. And I feel like that's what I got. Like I got a movie that I went to that was just, I had a good time. I even saw like the hate reviews before. Just I don't know.
Right. We all
I had a
saw
good
this,
time
like,
overall. Like
yeah.
I think the chemistry,
We all saw the scores of it, but
yeah,
but yeah, go ahead.
the critic reviews obviously weren't great. I saw somebody that's toted like, oh, overwhelmingly great reviews, and they're like, checked Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, bro, it's sitting at like a 54, 55. What are you talking about? Or on critics, but whatever.
Right.
Overall, I think the
Yeah.
chemistry between the main three was pretty
Hmm.
well done overall. I think they all definitely did as well with what they had. I think Kamala definitely shines the most in this. I think Carol is actually finally allowed to have a personality in this movie, which is great. Um, I feel
Which
like
is what I was
maybe
referring to when I said they let her kind of act from that source material. Like they let her have a personality in this one.
Yeah, which I did appreciate. I feel like Romanoff kind of had the short end for most of this movie. It almost feels like she's kind of in this just to kind of set up something bigger in the long term. Um, that would be my only kind of like
Rambeau's
nitpicky.
character.
Yeah, or not Romanoff. What did I say?
Okay.
uh,
I don't know, because you're.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I'm so mixed watching so many different fucking shows of this. I'm getting fucking characters mixed up from the fucking past, bringing them into the future, Days of Future Past. Pff, I don't know.
I was gonna
I
say, is that is
but
that really what it is, man? I mean, all right,
but
yeah.
overall, like, I like that. I for non spoilers, like Nick Fury in this movie, I fucking hated it watching it because it just made no sense coming off the backs of Secret Invasion. But when I came out, I remembered and realized, oh yeah, the Marvels was supposed to come out before Secret Invasion, so yes, I can chalk that up to that, I guess. But
Yeah,
Fury was too comical for
I
me. I'll
just
just say that he was way too uppity, way too happy, and it's like you're either a scroll or what the hell's going on here. And then then I realized the
right.
Marvels was actually supposed to come before Secret Invasion. So I was like, well, maybe that's why Fury seems weird coming off the back of that series. But
Well, I mean, I'm gonna chalk it up to Samuel L. Jackson is old and just I don't know. I just felt I had the same feeling of I sat there and I was like, why is he even in this movie? He's not even like acting like
gives a
well,
fuck.
Nick Fury. Yeah,
Exactly.
like
He just
he's
had no care in the world,
the
just
only
joking
time
around
the
around every
yeah,
corner. And I was just like, oh well, classic
yeah,
Marvel shit, but not in the way
right.
like
That
not
makes
not
sense.
even from a character that like you would even expect it from. So that's why it was like extra weird and pointed out to me. Like that was something I really did not like because it just made
Yeah.
no sense compared to. I feel like even pre-Secret Invasion, like I get it. He has his one-liners, like jokes that he quips that he has every now and then, but
But it's more of a smartass nature. It's
yeah,
more of him being a smartass in nature because he's always like a serious toned, like hard ass that wants to get the mission done. And in this movie, he's like this very lackadaisical, like, oh, you know what? I mean, we got Carol. We're good, man. No real problem actually exists, and that's just kind of his attitude the whole time. And that's a gripe of the movie that I have, but he's also like he kind of feel. I mean, he is in it though. Like shouldn't say he's barely in it because he is in the movie enough, but it's weird. Yeah, his nature of his character in the movie is weird.
yeah, it just doesn't seem like Nick Fury to me. Like you said, like
I
he
just
should,
yeah.
like Samuel L. Jackson just shouldn't even have been in the movie. They should have just casted that as some other fucking sword or shield agent, like whatever you want to fucking call him at this point. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I just kind of sat there and I was like, man, like I understand that like he does like he's even been quoted in saying like, yeah, I don't want to run anymore in movies and stuff. And it's like, well, why are you in action movies now then? Like, and again, I understand the guy's old. I mean, I don't blame him. But that's the thing where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I just watched this movie and I just kind of feel like, okay, was this like how you were actually directed, or did you just kind of also do this because you just don't care anymore? Um,
yeah, I mean, it's just
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but uh, just yeah, it's just kind of so weird how they did that his character, but
I don't know. I would
I don't
imagine
know.
its direction, and like I said, it probably has something to do with this was supposed to come before Secret Invasion, so it's like
Right.
it's like filming wise, this happened before the pre-tragedy of what Secret Invasion was in his life and also ours, because that series was terrible. But it just doesn't. It very. I don't know. Even just like even without the Secret Invasion part of it, I feel like this Nick Fury doesn't jive with the rest of the Nick scene. But I feel like it's almost direction. Like unless they literally just took all of his improv lines, which I feel like would be kind of absurd. But I feel like this is what he was told to say, and for the most part, I'm sure he had some ad lib. I don't know. This movie, like I said, to piggyback on what you said earlier, you can understand why some critics would shit on this because it is somewhat of very messy at times.
Like, yeah, I feel like with his character, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like they took his personality that he had in the first Captain Marvel movie, and then they just like dialed it up even more. Because in the first Captain Marvel movie, when he's playing a younger version of Nick Fury, and yeah, it's a little bit more he's a little more like comical and not as so stern, serious all the time. But anyways,
which I guess
like you said, I mean, if it was supposed to come out before Secret Invasion, then it makes you wonder, like, did they scrap some scene where it was revealed that it was a scroll that was just intimidating him, and you just didn't really, you were supposed to wonder, like, well, where's the real one at? And then Secret Invasion was going to come out, and you're going to be like, oh, the real Nick Fury's in this dog shit TV series you made.
but kind of like actually off that point, like it like this movie to me felt very like comic booky overall. And I feel like that's why
Dude,
maybe
yes.
I'm a little
Yeah.
bit less harsh on it, maybe because even with DC movies, some that I feel like have been kind of shit on, but I was like, well, I liked it because it felt very comic book to me. Like I felt like this was a comic book come to life. This movie to me felt very
Yeah.
comic book come to life, especially when we go to these certain planets that have different
Yeah.
speech patterns, we'll
Cultures
say.
and
Speech
just
patterns, we'll say, that are
yeah, yeah.
unique. But even in that moment, like, I felt like that moment dragged
I
on a
more
little bit
felt
too
like it
long
was
to
like
me.
a
But I loved the costume change that
I more
Carol
felt
had. That's all I'll
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I felt like it was like a comic book because again, with the plot just kind of feeling like it just had like just breakneck speed. I felt like it was like, well, yeah, that's like a comic book because in a comic book you just have your panels and it just goes. Like you don't have these points of like building into something. I mean, truly, the only point where the seems like the movie actually like slows down is when the the three of them first get together, at least, or a little after the three of them first get together. Is what I'll say, since we're not in spoilers yet, but we're creeping up to the spoiler to getting into like spoils of the movie. But yeah,
Just
so
just other than that, otherwise than spoilers, I think the family
yeah,
dynamic with Kamala's family was well done in this. Um,
yeah,
for those that did go
especially
out
with
and
her
see Blue
mom. I
Beetle, it
thought her
felt
mom
very
was great.
Blue Beetle like. Just felt like there
Right.
was a lot of love
I
to the
thought
family.
yeah. Yeah, I thought the mom did like the mom was hilarious. I thought the mom was hilarious.
The mom
Did a
definitely got
great was a great job.
a lot of good time to shine in this. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. The dad and the brother have it do at points, but I feel like they were kind of more forgotten about. But again, the mom has shining moments.
Um,
What did she say?
I think cons that or a con that I can go to is overall, like without being spoilerific, is this. There are certain aspects of this movie that do feel like we missed something, like or like, especially with I feel like unless I'm just
I know what you're
completely
talking about.
ignorant to the first Captain Marvel movie and I'm just forgetting stuff. I feel like there is something that, which I feel like they did a decent job of fleshing out. If this like is the case, like, but I still feel like, well, I kind of would like to see that. But there's some stuff with
I think I
Carol
know what you're meaning.
that I feel like wasn't addressed in the first movie, unless, like I said, unless I'm just dumb and forgot certain aspects of the first movie. But I don't know. I feel like we're almost like going in a weird, like, this is almost like a Captain Marvel 3 or I don't know, like a 2.5. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. It feels like you're somewhat understanding what I'm saying.
No, it does.
And I don't know if I sound crazy.
Because I think I know it. No, I do understand what you're saying, because I mean, for right now at this moment, I think I know what you're talking about. And I felt the same way, where I was sitting there watching the movie and I'm like, see, that's where I kind of feel like maybe they should have kept this for a third movie.
Yeah.
And then we had like a Captain Marvel 2, but at the same time though, it's kind of like that mentality of like, do we need 26 movies again?
To the movie's credit, it did a good enough job to make me understand whatever happened. It gave me a certain sense. It was like, well, I kind of want to see that movie,
right?
Or release that.
Yeah. So
Marvel presentation short, like just give me like
short real quick.
Just give me something, but
yeah, give me a 20-minute short instead of like a minute of footage in this movie on characters.
Okay, good. I'm glad you know. Okay, yeah. It seems like we're on the same page.
I know what you're talking about, because it's like, yeah. Anyways, we'll get there, because we'll definitely we'll as I always like to say, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Last general spoilers. I do feel like the villain was kind of just. I do understand the complaints about the villain being weak. I'll just say that. And honestly, I wanted to kind of double down on that, because
weak, like what do you mean?
Just weak. Overall, just like written in a way, just like kind of like there's nothing special about this villain compared to all the other MCU villains, like at all. Like it's I think one of the weakest MCU villains.
But they did at least try to make you understand that character's point of view, other than just like, oh, I'm a villain.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. She just
okay, so this is probably the worst comparison, just because the movie's, but like Ultron was just an AI that was like, humanity bad.
Oh, I hate Ultron.
Villain. I'm a villain.
I love James Spader. Great voice for Ultron, but written terribly.
And that's not really what I'm just saying. Like, that is just the weak Marvel MCU writing the villain, whereas like with like Thanos and so like with
actually, to piggyback off Thanos, I feel like
we're trying to make here. You see the point we're trying to make here? Like, you can't really relate to any of the other villains other than Thanos.
And to your point,
I feel like they tried in this movie. Like, it's like, oh, this villain is an antagonist because of something that happened. That makes sense.
That we didn't get to see. That should have been a second movie.
Same, even though, and like Love and Thunder, this Gore is a villain because of something that happened with his life and him, and we saw it, and it's like, okay, you can relate to that guy. Whereas, like, yes, a lot of the time with other MCU villains, it's kind of like, oh, I'm just a bad guy. I'm a bad guy because I want to take over the world and be a dictator.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong here.
no, you're not. I feel like maybe just, I don't know, just I
So
didn't feel
I
like
guess
they
I'm
were
trying
that
to say,
captivating. Like the
yeah,
motivations were
no,
somewhat there.
no.
Um,
I'm just saying, I'm just probably trying to play a little bit of a devil's advocate to that because I feel like, well, they at least tried in this movie.
they did, and I do agree. The motivations were they were there, but like that's where I also feel like this is where it feels like Captain Marvel 2.5 or 3,
Right.
because they basically like shoe in this fucking storyline of what happened, which
Mm.
of
Yep.
why. Never mind. We're still in
We'll
spoiler
get
free. We don't want to get there,
we'll
but
get
just yeah, I feel like overall I
Stick
had a good time. I
around.
still had a good time. There are issues with it.
Yeah.
There are
Uh,
definitely issues with the timeline as far as Secret Invasion coming out before this movie.
yeah.
And not even
I
just the
mean,
Nick Fury thing that I said. There's also some other things in there that I feel like are
oh,
like, it's kind of,
well,
well, that's
those went
kind
over my
of,
head. I'll tell you
I'm
right
like,
now.
that's kind of weird, but well, I also could be wrong as well, but there was just something that came up and I was just like, that seems a little odd because I thought this was
Mm-hmm.
either way, I had a good time. I definitely think it's worth a watch. Like, I'm not gonna, like, it's not super high up in my book as far as the rating's gonna go, but I it's not low either. Like like
It's
it's
again,
worth a watch.
it's
Like
a it's
I
an entertaining popcorn movie. I'm
yeah,
not gonna say it's great. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's
and
literally the definition of good.
yeah, like I would agree. Like I was, and maybe it's because my expectations were a little low because of just the reactions I initially saw, and I was like, well, I don't know. Like I wasn't expecting anything amazing anyway. Like from the trailer, it just looked like a good fun time. That's what I'm
Yeah.
expecting. That's what I got. Like
Yeah, like when I saw the Rotten score and all these X/Twitter accounts saying like, "Oh, it debuts at this," and I'm like, I saw that, I was kind of more like, "Oh, that sucks." Still gonna go see it because I wasn't expecting it to be something amazing, and also too, I mean, we always get the run times of these movies spoiled for us before they get released to the general public. And when it came out that it's only an hour and 45 minutes, I kind of knew from then. I was like, oh, well, my expectations are low because my opinion is always going to be a superhero movie needs to be at minimum 2 hours long. I legitimately will always stand by that. I personally think that's literally why the Venom movies are not good. Like Jsib hates them.
oh yeah, I do.
I,
I fucking hate them.
yeah, he hates them. I don't hate them, but I also understand where people hate them. And again,
But
I think that's because they're not 2 hours long. And it's like
I don't know if it's the
you.
length. I don't know if it's the length. I just think it's the writing. But
I
to
mean,
me, I think
when
every movie has a unique runtime. Like depending on what your story is, it could be an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes. But some movies or stories need to be 2.5, 3. Hey, Zack Snyder fans, 4 hours long. Yeah, I said it. It needed. It didn't need to be. It could have been 3.5, but I took all four
no,
hours and I was happy
oh
about it.
no, so no, that movie's perfectly okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
There's
but
no
either way, I'll
gripe.
take 4 hours as it is because I loved every
Yeah.
second of it. So whatever, except for whatever.
You're a hater if you
The
can't
singing
watch
with
that
Aquaman at the
movie.
very end, just like that could have been cut. That's one. It could have been 15 seconds shorter, is what I'm saying. But anyway,
All right.
before we get into spoilers, overall, yes, liked it, recommend. I think we both do. So
Yeah, I recommended it.
if you haven't seen it yet, you need to check out. We appreciate you for sticking with us this long. But if you want to see the spoiler section where you go see the movie. Make sure you give a like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you see further videos. So now, KP, let's get into it.